Hi everyone, what is up? This is gonna be part two of everything, so we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna be relying a lot on my notes here, so bear with me on that. But it'll be necessary, or else I'm gonna be mad at myself, or we're gonna go on a very big derail, which I don't know. We probably still will regardless, but that's fine. That's all good. But if you're still here, thanks. If you still are like, hey, cool, then thanks. I don't know. I don't. But we're gonna get into part two. This is gonna be about like the surface area of my very starting of like middle school. Not like very start of middle school, but part of middle school. When I was in Arizona. So that's where we're gonna be kind of at for this section mostly. But yeah. Um, so when I came to Arizona, I feel like a lot of my life kind of flip-flopped. I went from being that really sociable kid in elementary school when I was in Boston, and when I lived with my grandparents, and even the 6 months that I lived in California, because I don't know if I touched upon this on the last video, to be quite honest. I don't remember. Um, when I left Boston, I lived 6 months in West Virginia with my grandparents, and then another 6 months in California, and then to Arizona, where I stayed there for until the end of high school. But anyways, that being said, I went from being a really highly sociable kid to not really knowing what to do and not really getting anywhere with other people, to be honest. I think a part of it was definitely my back of my mind, not sure whether or not it was a right time to open up or not, because I didn't know reality. Am I going to stay here or not? And so I think my brain was trying to protect myself, and so I didn't really try, I guess. Which, I mean, I did end up getting a group of friends, but I don't know. It doesn't play out the way that I think it could have played out or should have played out, maybe. I don't know. That part's still kind of everywhere for me. But yeah. Um but anyways, I ended up staying there a lot longer than I believed I was going to, clearly, cuz like I said, I stayed there until the end of high school. And I ended up not doing too great. I think it was 7th or 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade when I started to do things that wasn't the healthiest way of coping. And to say the least, I got caught like within the first week. Which, wow. Um, and I got immediately pushed to try to go to therapy, and I completely like did everything in my power to not go to therapy. I was really against therapy at the time, which is very crazy for me to say now, because if you ask me now, I'm very pro therapy now. So, yeah, at the time I was very against therapy, and I was like, no, I'm not talking about my feelings. No. I remember, one of the times I was supposed to go to therapy, I literally just had a panic attack and then, got my way and did not go to therapy. So, yeah, if that says a lot, anything, I was very not wanting to. I think a part of it was because I was very scared of saying anything that might, like, turn into something worse in a sense of way. And I think I was trying to keep up that perfection image of like, I'm good, I'm fine, like, I'm just this kid, whatever. Don't mind me any attention. I'm just here, I'm just existing, whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know how I pulled any of that off, but I managed to. So yeah, and now we're gonna get into my not greatest era where Kick was a thing. Now, I know that Kick is still a messaging app. The reason I know is because I downloaded it recently to try to get into my old shit, and then I deleted it right afterwards because I was like, "Fuck this! I can't even get anything out of this." So whatever. Um, but Kick was not the best place for me, I would say. Um, I'm still, I hate really badly that Kik deletes your messages once you logged out, because if if that wasn't the case, there's so many things I wish I would do now if I had access to the messages that were there on Kik at the time being, but there's nothing I can do now, like I said, because they disappear and they're not going to have any of that saved from 7 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Now when I bring up names, I'm just going to mention them by a letter, just in case. But some people might know exactly who I'm talking about, and if you do, well, thanks, and if you don't, that's fine, because, yeah. So we're going to start this off with talking about Jay. Oh, Jay. Let's just say one of the biggest reasons of why I think my brain fell in love with the type of thoughts it did and was super consistent on telling myself one thing or another. Now, Jay was someone who I think was a part of the 4chan community and definitely had his way in terms of manipulation and knew his way around technology very well for his age. Was very good at getting what he wanted, and looking back on it, there's a lot of messed up things that happened that I am mortified happened. And still to this day do not understand. And yeah. But I think the one part that is stuck and it will be forever embedded in my brain, and whenever someone would, like, whenever the name's brought up, that's the first thing I think of. And this is the most, like, this is one of the things that, like I said, shaped everything, I think, for me to an extent. Because he had multiple Kik accounts, and this is where Kik plays a big role into everything for me. He had multiple Kik accounts, and there was this one time where there was someone who was harassing me, saying that they got my IP address and said they were gonna come and track me down and do some very inappropriate things to me, whether I wanted it or not. And so then trying to push everything off, I said that, well, then I'm gonna, you know, and then proceeded to say, I will do that anyways, even with your body. So I was freaking out over this because they had my IP address, and they were now saying they were going to do things to a dead body, and I was like, oh. And me being like 14 at the time, didn't really know what to do, didn't think very much through any of this. Now, this wasn't the first time I encountered someone like threatening me in this type of format, because it had happened to me when I lived with my grandparents over Facebook, which I'm not even going to get into that. So it wasn't my first time getting dealt with that type of stuff, but it was the first time having dealt this when I actively had a significant other. And the reason why this is such an important thing, that the fact that I had a significant other at this time, which was Jay, it was because he was actually the one doing everything. The one who tracked down the IP address, the one who was sending all the threats, while at the same time consoling me and saying, it's okay, you're gonna be fine, nothing's gonna happen to you. Yeah. Both roles. The threatener and the one who was trying to say, calm me down. Yeah. So that definitely played a number in my brain and just is there. Now, the other thing is, after everything ended and we cut it off, we broke it off, he reappeared in my life multiple times in slow, tiny spurts for years. Now, I think the last time I heard from him was probably 2020, which, knock on wood. But, yeah. And the conversations I've had since then, there was one that was kind of apologetic, but I think now if there was something else that would have come, I would be full on, very much more confrontational and very much more proactive about everything, because I don't think I said my piece. I think I was very mellow about it last time, even with the apology that was there. So, I don't know. But that was definitely something that embedded in me. I think he is definitely the reason why for such a long time I couldn't stand myself and saw myself as just an item and all that kind of stuff, not really as a person, which is saddening but true. So, yeah. Anyways, now to the next person, shall we? We're going to talk about B. Yep, B. Now, this was like the very end of 8th grade kind of timeline. Now, mind you, B was a solid 5 years older than me. I was an 8th grader. B was a senior in high school. Yeah. And do you think that I cared? No, not really. Did I think it was wrong? Well, I didn't think so until apparently I found it when I was looking for all this stuff and digging deep through God knows how many things somewhere on the internet. I found out I actually said, yeah, I'm aware this is very illegal, but who cares? Excuse me? Apparently I was very aware of the situation, but did not give any shits, which is a massive problem, but I think a part of that was because of how Jay treated me. My brain was kind of like, fuck it. Fuck it. Who cares? It's all fine and dandy. Just live with it. It's all good. Who cares? Well, it's a big problem in the world because, there's laws for a reason. So, but I, on the other hand, was like, nah, it's all good. And, during that time, towards the very tail end of that relationship, I found the 1975. And that's when I fell in love with the 1975. And I think the 1975 pulled me out of that situation. And that is the band that literally I've cried to, I've taken shit to, I've done it all while listening to that band. And, wow, the 1975 is, played a giant role in my life. But so did B, and B's the reason why I'm pretty sure, well, he's not the only solid reason, but he's one of the reasons why I started to rely on, pain pills a little more than I should have. So, in my adolescence, and, I remember listening to 1975 and just coming completely out of it because of Advil and Tylenol, and, sometimes gabapentin, and, yeah. Looking back at it, I think Jay was more of the horror, the control, the fear. B was the part that was like, this is safety. This is what safety feels like. But it's not safety at all, mind you, because they actively knew my age and I actively knew their age, and we were like, it's all good. It's all fine and dandy. But it wasn't. So, yeah. Not my finest moments at all during this era. Not at all. Not the greatest moments of my life. And during all this as well, this was when my eating disorder started to really flourish and get all the feeding it needed, and was like ramping up into what it was going to become slowly, soonly in the next couple years. And I was very, very, like, I did a lot, even though it was pretty obvious, I think. But I was good at hiding it, I guess. And at the time, one of my good friends, Ollie, she called me out on it all the time. She was super hyper aware. She would call me out for all my stupid shit that I did. And she knew it before I knew it. She was very intelligent and very in touch with everything. I did unfortunately lose her, and it was something that was really hard on me, I think, at the same time. And because she was someone really close to me, even though I didn't have her around for very long, I owe her a lot because, like I said, she called me out for so much stuff, and she realized things before I even realized them. And but there's not very many remainders left of her that I have, which sucks. But I have a photo where I had this plushie named Raindrop. It was a little Rottweiler plushie. And I remember a post that I made, and I was like, Ollie loved this. And I remember her telling me, like, hey, to hug it one day when, like, one of my earrings got stuck and it was hurting a lot to take it out. And yeah. And that's why it says RIP Ollie on my account. It's not talking about Ollie from Bring Me the Horizon. It is talking about her because she played a giant role in my life. And yeah. I'm surprised I haven't cried, to be honest. But I think I'm more angry at a lot of the things. So, and I think I cried enough in the first one that maybe I just don't have any emotion towards this one, even though this one's such more bigger. Like, there's a lot more that happened in this part. There's a lot more damage in it. Maybe it's because maybe it's because everything is kind of hazy from those timelines, and so there's not as much as I can speak on it, but it's all there. And I know it's gonna get more intense, especially when I get into like the last, like when I hit 2021. I know that one's gonna be a lot. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up this one. This is like the middle school area, I guess, if you want to call it that. The next one's gonna be a lot more in depth with how I decided to handle things, and not the best way I handled things. And that one's gonna be dedicated on my ED for the most part. And that one's gonna be a lot. That one's gonna be the one where I'm like, hey guys, by the way, this is me, and that's what I've done, and this is everything. And cause I still get told crap all the time, whether it's at my jobs that I've been at, or just regular daily life, or when I was in school, about my appearance and shit. I'm so immune to it at this point, and at the same time, it's like, okay, well, here's this, and now you know, and it's okay that you've said these things, because I know you don't know, and but now I'm ready to just go tell all, even though my Instagram does have a little highlight for it, but like, in case you don't just scroll through people's things like that, here's this next one is going to be my tell all on it, on what I've done, I guess. I don't know. But That one's gonna be a brutal one, probably. So we'll see. But, this one was probably longer than the first one, but that's fine. But, alright. I will see you guys next time. Alright. Bye.